friends, it is time to unpack this kitchen. My name is Becky and this is Acre Homestead if you're new, and it is early August and harvest season is just around the corner. Things are starting to come in and I currently do not have a working kitchen and this isn't going to do for much longer, so it's time to get in here and make a functioning kitchen so we can start putting up the harvest. I am starting with a clean kitchen. All the drawers and cupboards have been cleaned and wiped out so that everything that we unpack from these boxes going into the kitchen should be a clean slate for us, which is going to be awesome. I am not sure what necessarily is in each one of these boxes, and my goal is to try to get at least this counter clean so we can start cooking in this kitchen for, well, we've been cooking in it because we've been here for a week, but I haven't been able to do anything other than making quick sandwiches and roll-ups and salads and things like that. So I have a pile, we're gonna start here, of boxes, and I'm gonna open up a box as soon as we'll start with this one. This is gonna be a donation box because I know there's gonna be stuff in here that still can be donated. And then I am going to take a tip from the Millennial Mom, and this box right here is gonna be what we are gonna call our quarantine bin. The idea of a quarantine bin are things that you're not exactly sure if you want to keep or get rid of. So what you do is you put it in a bin, you set it aside, you decide what length of time needs to pass. Once that length of time passes, if you have not used it, you get to donate it to the next person to use. And my goal is to try to make this kitchen simpler, less cluttered, less things to manage. So when we're doing big cooking projects and big food preservation projects, I don't have to manage as much stuff in the kitchen. Now there is stuff over here that I'm not going to worry about. My dining room table is covered in things, but that is a project Josh is working on. He's currently working on replacing all the outlets and he's putting on all the hardware for the doors. So we're not going to worry about the dining room table. The kitchen is our domain today. And I packed probably half these boxes. Half of them I did not pack, so I'm not exactly sure what's in what, so we're just gonna start opening boxes and start putting things away. I did unload the dishwasher today, so we're starting with a clean dishwasher just in case there's something that comes out of one of these boxes that I find the need that needs to go into the dishwasher. And I did go through this morning because I haven't really figured out a layout of how I want this kitchen to work for me. The one thing about this kitchen is there are a lot of these open shelves, and so I want to make sure those open shelves stay really clean and neat and tidy. And there's not a whole lot of cupboards in this kitchen except for that we do have that walk-in pantry, which is going to be really helpful because we're going to need that. Had to go find some scissors so we can open this box. This says kitchen, food, and jars, so I'm not exactly sure what's in here. Saltine crackers, chocolate chips. Okay, so this box is all stuff that's gonna go in the pantry. So let's go ahead and bring this into the pantry. Okay, so there are already a few boxes in here and there's some construction stuff. So I'm gonna start by taking the construction stuff out. I have not totally thought this whole thing through. So you and I are going to figure out together how this is going to come together, and this is just going to be the start because I'm sure as time goes on I'm going to have to do some adjustments in order to make sure this is a very functional space for us. Inside the pantry we have two shelves at the top. What I'm thinking we're going to put on these shelves are these jarred items like chocolate chips, and I think that will look really pretty. And then we have down here some open shelving. I'm thinking my small appliances are going to go on here that I don't use all the time. And then up on this shelf, we'll put things like the toaster, the coffee pot. I'm not exactly sure 100%. We'll have to figure it out together. Eventually, I want to move the microwave in here so that it's out of the main kitchen. Like I was saying, there's not a lot of counter space and cupboards for baked goods. I'm really not sure where I'm gonna put my mixer and my flour and oats. Normally I would put that somewhere on the counter. put my mixer on the counter with my flour, oats, baking soda, and all that stuff in a cupboard right above it. But these are open shelves here, and these are open shelves here. And I don't think these shelves are big enough to fit all of the baked items that we need. So I'm not exactly sure where my mixer is gonna go. I could put my mixer here, but this space right here from this microwave down to the counter is not a standard height, and it's way shorter than it typically would be. So I can't put a mixer or a coffee pot here, and I do want my coffee pot somewhere. So that's what I'm saying, that it's gonna be kind of some gymnastics trying to figure out where everything should go. So before I get too totally overwhelmed by trying to figure out where everything needs to go right this instant, let's just take one box at a time. And I already know these items I think are going to be in here. One thing I am excited about this is that all these items are going to be easily accessible and easy to see in here, versus at my last house. If you watched how I organized these big jars, they were 4 deep in one big cupboard. And I did not make homemade tortillas very often because they were in the way back of that cupboard and out of sight, out of mind, versus if it's sitting right here, this is something that I can just grab, and we're more likely to make some homemade corn tortillas because I can easily see it and easily access it. I also really want to try making homemade tamales. I've never made those before, and I think that would be a really fun fall project. I think by having the masa right here visible will really help remind me that that is a project I want to do together with you. First box done. When I'm tackling a huge project like this, I try to find a couple smaller tasks that I can get done that'll give me a little bit more confidence and motivation to keep going on the bigger task at hand. So getting that one box emptied is a great start. This box here has a lot of the same type of items. It was from the same area of the kitchen. So I can smell vinegar, which makes me a little nervous. So I'm glad I'm getting to this. So we're just gonna bring this into the same area and start unpacking it. The reason I chose this box was the same reason as I was talking about before, is I knew I was gonna be able to empty this box in a relatively quick manner, and that was gonna continue to give me the motivation that I needed to continue on this massive project. I also wanted to break down the boxes as I was going so that I could see kind of the mass of boxes start to decrease, and hopefully that would also give me the motivation I needed to continue on this project. I did take 2 days off or 3 days off, I can't remember exactly now, from when we did those 3 moving days. That was a lot of work, and Josh, he had taken that whole week off, and he continued to replace all the outlet covers, or started. That's a big project, so he hasn't finished that yet. He's putting in a smart system, and he got all the doors on, and so he continued to work really, really hard during his week off, and I took a couple days to rest, to recuperate, and the mental and decision fatigue was a real thing. And this project here is a lot of decision making, and so I knew that I needed that time in order to continue on. And I'm really excited that we are getting to this because I cannot wait for harvest to be putting up a bunch more things. These here are dried pears, and they are so, so good. I was just about to take care of the bottom contents of this box when I looked up from this angle, and ew, the bottom of this shelf, yuck. It is dirty and grimy. So I'm going to take a second and go ahead and clean the bottom of these shelves. Eventually I would like to put another one of these solid wood shelves up here, but for now what we have will make work, and we need to get that cleaned. I still need to finish cleaning off that shelf, but this box was getting in my way, and I figured instead of just working around the box, let's go ahead and take care of it This is a bunch of vinegar for canning. I think long term, I'll keep my canning vinegars down in the food storage room, but because canning season is right around the corner, instead of carrying it downstairs and then knowing I'm gonna need it, I'm just gonna bring it and put it up here. I'm putting it toward the end of the pantry because I know that this stuff I'm not gonna get as much as, I'm gonna put like my rice cooker, I think, and stuff over here. So I'm just trying to think, what am I gonna gravitate towards more? I'm gonna put the empty bottles in front. And now I can break this box down and I'm not working around the box to clean, and it just seems more efficient that way. So all these boxes and all that packing paper, I'm gonna put, when we're done getting them all condensed, free on Facebook Marketplace, so that if someone else is moving and needs good packing boxes, they will be available for them. We are on the hair struggle bus today, and I appreciate you friends being willing to hang out with me when I have good and bad hair days. And it's just, I think it's funny. Sometimes it's hard to look and watch myself and be like, oh my goodness, how did I not notice this? But that's okay, this is real life. So I took some cleaner and I cleaned the tops and bottoms of these wire racks really, really well. My goodness, did this turn out really great. I'm glad I took the time to go ahead and do this because they were super grimy. I took a pair of scissors and kind of used that to push it through these racks so I could get in between the wire racks really well, and we could start with a nice clean fresh slate. I'm glad that I cleaned this and that I also cleaned the pantry, my old pantry that I moved out of. It was pretty grimy as well. And this is a great reminder for me after cleaning 2 pantries that this needs to be done on an annual basis. This just happens to all of us, and if we don't do an annual clean, it's going to build up. So I'm going to try to work hard on doing annual cleans in my pantry. That is so much better. Do I wish I did that before I put these containers here? Yes, but that's okay. I did go ahead and wipe down this cabinet and any of the tops that may have had some dust and debris on them. I don't totally know what's going to go up here, but I think my big mixing bowls is a good place to start. I can link these 1 gallon and half gallon jars down below if you're interested in them. I really like them for things that I am storing stuff in for a longer period of time and for things that I don't get into as regularly. I really like my plastic wide mouth containers, the square ones, because I can use a 1 scoop measure in them really easily, but I don't like those for everything because they are plastic and I'd prefer to store things in glass. But because I go through my flour, oats, and sugar so often, I don't mind them being in plastic. And I am trying to sort things, light things with like things. I think I've gotten as far in here as I can get because I don't know where the rest of the boxes are for the things that are going to go on this shelf. So I have some boxes that I know where they're going to go, so let's go take care of that. Where I had I'll show you, my Snapware Tupperware, I had to have it in 2 different cupboards or drawers because the drawer wasn't big enough to fit all of it because I had quite a bit of it because all of our leftovers go in them and we eat a lot of leftovers for lunches. Josh takes them to work. I used to take them to work. I still will use them to microwave up my own lunch, and I make Josh's breakfast every day, and so it really helps to have a bunch of these glass containers so that you can microwave in them. But I want to make sure that I have them all in one spot in this house so that you're not having to open 2 different drawers in order to make sure you have a lid or whatever it might be. So I'm going to try to get all of them to fit right in this one drawer that slides out. I think this will be a really good solution, hopefully, and there's a lot of vertical space, so I'll be able to stack them quite high. And the packers, I didn't pack these, and they did a really good job. I probably would not have put 2 pieces of paper around each one. They're pretty sturdy stuff, but they wanted to make sure that, oh yeah, definitely didn't need 2 pieces of paper around one canning jar. Those are pretty heavy duty, but you know, they wanted to make sure everything stayed nice and nothing broke. It's been fun getting to learn a new kitchen and figuring out what works really well and what doesn't work well. I definitely am finding some things that I really am enjoying about this kitchen, like this one drawer in particular. It is very, very nice to be able to have all of my Snapware containers in one spot. Like I said, at the last house, half of them were in one drawer, the other half were in another drawer. I tried different solutions like putting the lids in one drawer and all the glass containers in the other, but then you're having to open 2 drawers. And so this right now is working extremely well for me. Now, some of the other things we've organized, I don't know if I'm going to keep them like that forever, but for now, I'm super excited about this one drawer and having all of my Snapware in one spot. I love this stuff. It works very, very well. So now we're going to move on to a different area and try to tackle some more things. While they were painting, I put some dishes in here and I'm going to go ahead and move those. And I had a thought, I might put my flour in here. You see how this is my flour? And then I can put my mixer up here. So instead of it being high, it'll be low, which we'll see how that goes. If we have to readjust, we readjust. But I need to move all these dishes out of here. As I'm doing some of this organizing, I am listening to some different declutterers on YouTube and some minimalists on YouTube and trying to get inspired and learning some tips and tricks from them. But let me tell you, I was listening to them while I was in the active moving phase. Pro tip, listen to that stuff when you're packing and getting rid of. Do not listen to it when you're in the act of moving because you will get very overwhelmed, stressed, and you'll want to throw all your things away. And that's what was happening to me when I was talking about being cranky that one day. That was part of my problem. But now that I'm back at the organizing part and the ability to decide what works and what doesn't work, it's now a good time to start listening to that stuff again to get me motivated. I went to that other pantry and grabbed some of the other baking supplies, and I thought maybe they would fit in here as well. Like we've got our chocolate chips, our cocoa powder, our corn syrup, which I can put in the way back because I don't use that except maybe at Christmas. Does that work? Yeah, so maybe I'll put some vanilla here and we'll put baking powder and baking soda right here. Those containers, the square ones, were the ones that I absolutely love for my baking supplies because you can get a 1 cup and even a 2 cup measure in those containers super easily, and I absolutely love that. And they have been a game changer for me. We actually just bought them for my mom for Mother's Day, and her pantry looks beautiful. I forgot to show you guys, we do a big cooking day the weekend following when we're unpacking here. And I meant to show you, but I'll have to show you next time we're together because it looks so good. And I'm really excited for her for having that in her pantry. One thing I've been doing is kind of going around and just trying to open boxes. It's hard to fully know where I want to put everything if I don't know exactly everything I have. And so I have unpacked about 3 boxes half the way because I kind of want to just get in here and see what everything is. Like some of this stuff, like this, I need before I can unpack the rest of those utensils that are in the bottom of that one box. So that is kind of what my goal is here. My original goal was to try to open a box and completely empty it, but that didn't work for the whole time. This shift in strategy definitely helped where I opened a bunch and tried to just deal with what I knew I could deal with and I could figure out where it needed to go. But this was definitely a stretch. Last time I unpacked my kitchen when we moved from our first house to our old house, my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law helped me and we got it done in probably 2 hours, and their input was super helpful. And so it's just a little bit slower going when I'm the one making all of the decisions and don't have anybody to bounce the ideas off.
And I also am, like I said, trying to be very intentional with the items that stay in my kitchen and the items that leave out of my kitchen. And I'm also organizing things or condensing things as needed. This was a gallon of honey, and there was only about 1.5 quarts left of honey, and I knew that I didn't need to keep the entire gallon around any longer, and so I wanted to go ahead and condense the honey. I like using honey in a quart way easier than a gallon.
As we're working through this kitchen and unpacking and trying to organize it, there's some things that are kind of difficult for me to wrap my head around. There are these drawers right here, and I'm not exactly sure what I should be putting in them. Like I said, this counter space right here is not functional or really usable for any sort of prep work or real storage. I can't put a coffee pot or anything really functional in this section because this microwave is just way too low. And they have this cool drawer for knives and what appears to be silverware, but this is really far away from where I think real prep work is going to happen. I would prefer my knives to be over here somewhere because my cutting boards are going to go in one of these two tall cupboards. I can't really lean my cutting boards up against the wall like I did at the last house because there is this shelf here. And I can't imagine I'd want my knives on the whole other side of the kitchen opposed to where my cutting boards are going to be and where the stove is, where we're going to do most of our cooking on the stove. So it's things like that in this kitchen that I'm just having a hard time kind of figuring out a really good functional layout. There are some cupboards and things up here as well, but they're kind of high and I'm not sure what I would put in there other than like maybe cookbooks or alcohol that was not really being used on a regular basis. That's just where I guess I would think that there should be more storage kind of in the actual workspace. And then there are these drawers here. So if you guys have any suggestions for these drawers, they have these false fronts and I guess you could put something in there, but I probably won't put anything in there. And then they have these deep drawers. So I don't know, maybe I'll put some mixing bowls in here. I'm trying to think. I only want like one thing in here because if I have too much stuff, it's going to be hard to get stuff in and out because they're really deep but not very wide, if that makes sense. I'm not going to be able to put like a cast iron pan or anything in here because I'm not going to be able to get it. It's not going to fit. And I have 4 of these, the exact same size. All right, so mixing bowls will fit in here. Yep, that works. Okay, so we'll take the mixing bowls from the other area I put them, and we'll stick them in here. So I think that's the only thing I'll put in here because I don't want a bunch of other stuff around here because I'm not going to have then space to get in and out. So I think that was a good solution for that. Maybe down here on the bottom one we could put either a blender or a food processor. Okay. So I had a thought. I do plan to put my KitchenAid on the counter right across over here. So maybe in this bottom drawer, I could put my KitchenAid attachments. Let's see. That I don't use all the time. Let's see if that fits. Okay, that fits perfect. So this is my pasta KitchenAid attachment and I use it only about once, maybe twice a year. So we're gonna put that in the back of this drawer. And then I have this shredder KitchenAid attachment, which I do use, and I should use it more. So we'll put this one in next. I don't think I need the box for that one. I also have my KitchenAid attachment to grind my own wheat, and I want to do a lot more of that. So I'm going to put that here as well. This is going to be easy accessible for these 2 items. And then since I'm right here, I'll put my KitchenAid whisks and stuff in here just for now. These I usually store in the actual bowl. So this whole drawer, that seems pretty functional for the KitchenAid attachment pieces. So now I just need to figure out what to do with these 2. We'll figure it out together. I might just put some like black paper or something on these because I don't know what I would display in here that wouldn't look cluttery. If you guys have any suggestions, I would take your suggestions on that one as well.
I needed something easy that I knew that I could accomplish in a couple minutes. So I decided to go ahead and put my cutting boards away and my baking dishes and cooling racks because I knew where they were going to go. I love having tall, skinny cupboards like this next to my oven. My first house Josh and I bought together did not have a tall, skinny cupboard like this next to the oven, and it was always a pain point. And the fact that this kitchen has one on each side, I'm really excited about, so I can separate my baking sheets and my cooling racks versus my cutting boards, and they don't all have to be in one. And now that I kind of changed my strategy on how I was unpacking, it's time to go ahead and take care of some of these boxes because I was able to empty some of them, and I didn't put all of the boxes inside a box. I wanted to try to get some visual thing that was going to make me feel like I was, accomplishing something. And by going ahead and cleaning up this box area, I thought that that would give me a little bit more motivation. Surprisingly, I haven't had too many items I have put into my quarantine bin. I only have put one item in there, and I have decided to go ahead and donate a few things, but not as many as I thought. We did a pretty good job on the packing portion of getting rid of stuff. When I was in my closet, though, there were quite a few things that I did go ahead and donate. So we've been total to the donation center 7 times, and that feels amazing. The packing paper was starting to get a little bit out of control. So instead of continuing to put it here, I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and roll this up, and we are going to get this off the floor just so that the floor doesn't quite have so much stuff on it.
Because the KitchenAid is going to go right here, I think, and we have our bake supplies right here, I decided to go ahead and put, I don't know if this makes any sense, the muffin tins here, bread pan here, bundt pan here. I don't want to put any more things in there than that because it's going to be hard to get to those things. And then down here, we went ahead and I put the cheesecake pan at the bottom because I only use that once a year. And then we have our cake pans, which I don't use very often. And I put my pie plates on top because I use those the most for like quiche and things like that. So that's what this cupboard looks like. And then we have our KitchenAid attachments and our mixing bowls. So up here, because it's something I'm not going to need to access very often, let's see if I can go ahead and, well, maybe I can't. I'm just going to put these shelves up higher. Okay. Let's see. Woo! So I want to put liquor bottles up here. So I have to put this at the very top. There we go. Perfect. We're starting to make some progress. I can see part of my island now, which is huge progress, actually. So I have these 2 boxes here, and I don't know what's in them. It says food jars, so maybe this is spices? No, because I packed most of the spices. Let's see. Oh, more of these really big jars. So these go into the pantry, so I'll carry that box into the pantry. And this says kitchen fragile, so I don't know what's in this one. Okay, so this is teas and canning supplies and coffee. And some miscellaneous things like pot holders, which is good because I didn't have any pot holders around here. So I'm glad I know where pot holders are now. So now I get to empty this big box.
One thing I did do on this day to make my life a lot easier is I did pull out a freezer meal from the freezer, and that's been thawing. So we are going to cook that up together, and it's going to be nice to have an actual hot meal. We have been eating, like I mentioned earlier, just a lot of really quick things like sandwiches and roll-ups and salad kits and stuff, and I'm really excited just to have a really warm, hot cooked meal that I don't have to actually cook from scratch today. Freezer meals are definitely a lifesaver on days like today.
I have 3 jars of dog treats that I freeze dried for my dogs, and they love them. They are liver and heart from when I buy half a cow. So I'm going to go ahead and condense these into this 1-gallon jar.
I do have a video on making these, and for some reason one of my dogs, the first time I made these, and that's when I made that video, he did not like them. And I'm not sure what changed, but now he is obsessed. Both of them are obsessed with these liver treats. It's a great way to use up liver and not waste any of the animal and respect the whole animal. And my dogs get a great treat, and I don't have to eat the liver.
I found the box with the coffee pot, so we can have coffee tomorrow, and the KitchenAid. So I'm gonna try to dig this KitchenAid out if I can. And then there's a bunch of random food items in here that I'm gonna have to do some serious organization with. Let's see if I can. Oh, it's not locked. Ah, okay. Got it. Nice cloth napkins that I want to keep separate from the rest of them. If I keep my nice cloth napkins with the rest of my dishcloths and stuff, then I reach for them and I use them every day to wipe up messes, and just they get really used over time. And ideally, I eventually want to have a really pretty buffet type piece of furniture there, probably something that I buy secondhand, some sort of really cool old wood piece of furniture. But I think for now, keeping them on the opposite side of my working kitchen, because that's where my working kitchen is, and this is going to be an area here where I'm not going to need to reach for things that often. So I've got my secondhand brass different napkin holders. I probably could donate these 2 Christmas ones because they have little Christmas trees on them, but I like just the random assortment of little brass napkin holders that I've been collecting over the years. These 2 just happen to come in a set, so I think I'm going to donate these, but I like that now I have my nice napkins over here. When I eventually get the buffet, I would like to keep my serving platters and things like that in there as well, but for now we're going to put my placemats here. It is now almost 5:30, I guess it's 5:18. And I better get dinner in the oven. I have a freezer meal that I pulled out of the oven. This, it was about 11 o'clock. These are sweet and sour meatballs. So I just turned the oven on 350 degrees, and I'm gonna throw these sweet and sour meatballs in the oven. And then I'm gonna cook up some white rice, and I have some green beans from the garden that we're gonna saute up in our cast iron. But I'm not gonna get those green beans sauteed up yet, but I am gonna go ahead and get some white rice going on in the rice cooker. I just washed up the green beans for dinner. I'm gonna pan fry them, and I actually have some sugar snap peas in here too. So we're gonna just kind of give a nice blister to these in the cast iron for dinner, but we're gonna wait until the meatballs are closer to being done. They were about half thawed, and Josh and I have a meeting we have to go to tonight, so we're gonna go to the meeting, And then the meatballs will be done, the rice will be done, and then I'll cook up the green beans. Our meeting went a little bit longer, so I went ahead and I cooked these. I steamed them a little bit in some water, and then I just added some butter. And I was looking all over for my garlic powder and I can't find it. So we're just gonna simply season up our green beans with a little bit of salt. Our meatballs are done, so I just need to get those out of the oven. Our rice is done.
You guys hear about
You looking for?
garlic powder? You got close?
I don't know where the garlic powder is. They'll be good with just butter and salt. So this recipe is on my website and it is so good. We were sitting here just super excited to eat dinner tonight. Looks so good. It's steaming. These are sweet and sour meatballs. Dinner is ready to go. I wanted to show you where we're ending tonight because I'm not going to work on this anymore. I've got a sink full of dirty dishes. My dishwasher just needs to be turned on. We've got one box here that I need to take care of. This box I think is almost empty, pretty close. The island still has a lot of stuff on it, but notice there's not any boxes on it. And then we still have all of these to get through. The cool thing is this box here, and I think that box there is mostly just spices, so that's gonna be really easy to take care of. We've got some pots and pans. I think I know what I'm gonna do with those, and we're making a ton of progress. I'm still looking for the dividers for all of these utensils because I want to try to get all these utensils into a drawer if I can. So we're gonna sit down and enjoy dinner, and then we will be back at this huge project tomorrow. Hopefully we will have all of this taken care of and we will have a functioning kitchen. Well, it's functioning. We're making dinner tonight, but a more enjoyable functional kitchen tomorrow.